Hey guys, I'm Daddy Plant, and I fix brown leaves, not broken hearts. Today we are talking about the plant that scares more people than any other, the orchid. Specifically, the Phalaenopsis orchid, also known as the moth orchid. You've seen them at the grocery store, at Home Depot, at IKEA. They're everywhere. They're gorgeous. And most people think they're impossible to keep alive. They bring one home, the flowers fall off, and they throw the plant away because they think it's dead. But here's the truth. That orchid isn't dead. It's just resting. And with a little bit of knowledge, you can keep your orchid alive for years and make it bloom again and again. I've had Phalaenopsis orchids that bloom twice a year for 5 years straight. It's not magic. It's just understanding what the plant needs. In this video, we're going to cover everything: light, water, potting medium, pots, fertilizing, getting it to rebloom, trimming flower spikes, common problems, and what to do when all the flowers fall off. By the end, you'll stop being afraid of orchids and start enjoying them. Let's get into it. First, let's talk about what makes orchids different. Phalaenopsis orchids are epiphytes. That means in nature they don't grow in soil. They grow attached to trees. Their roots are exposed to air. They get water from rain and humidity. They get nutrients from decaying leaves and bird droppings that wash down the tree. This is the most important thing to understand about orchid care. They are not like your other houseplants. They don't want regular potting soil. They don't want to stay wet. They need air around their roots. Let's start with light. This is the most important factor for getting your orchid to rebloom. Phalaenopsis orchids need bright, indirect light. An east-facing window is absolutely perfect. Gentle morning sun gives them the energy they need without burning their leaves. A north-facing window works if it's unobstructed. A south or west window is too harsh unless you put a sheer curtain between the window and the plant. What does the right amount of light look like? The leaves should be a bright medium green. If the leaves are dark, almost blackish green, your orchid isn't getting enough light and probably won't bloom. If the leaves turn yellow or reddish purple, that's a sign of too much light. Sunburned leaves will have brown or white patches that don't go away. So find that sweet spot. Bright, indirect light. East window. Sheer curtain on south or west. That's the formula for reblooming. Now let's talk about watering. This is where most people mess up and kill their orchids. Overwatering is the #1 killer. Remember, orchid roots need air. If they sit in water, they rot. So here's how to water a Phalaenopsis orchid. First, never water on a schedule. Always check the roots. Phalaenopsis orchids are usually sold in clear plastic pots, and that's actually a good thing. It lets you see the roots. Healthy roots are green or silvery white. When the roots are silvery white, it's time to water. When they're green, wait. Here's my rule. Water about once every 7 to 10 days, but always check the roots first. The potting medium should dry out completely between waterings. How do you water? The best method is to take the inner pot to the sink. Use room temperature water, never cold water. Cold water can shock the roots. Water thoroughly, letting it run through the potting medium and out the drainage holes. Let the pot drain completely for 10 to 15 minutes. Then put it back in its decorative pot. Never let your orchid sit in standing water. That's a death sentence. What about ice cubes? You've probably seen the ice cube orchid instructions. 3 ice cubes a week. Here's my honest opinion. It's better than overwatering, but it's not ideal. Orchids are tropical plants. They don't like cold water straight from the freezer. Room temperature water is much better for root health, so skip the ice cubes. Let's talk about potting medium and pots. This is critical. Never plant an orchid in regular potting soil. It will suffocate and die. Phalaenopsis orchids need a chunky, airy mix that drains almost instantly. The most common medium is orchid bark, chunks of fir bark. You can also find mixes that include perlite, charcoal, and sphagnum moss. For beginners, straight orchid bark is the safest because it's very hard to overwater. Sphagnum moss holds more moisture, so you need to be more careful. If you tend to overwater, use bark. If you tend to underwater, you can use a bark and moss mix. As for pots, Phalaenopsis orchids are usually sold in clear plastic pots with lots of drainage holes and slits. These are perfect. clear pot lets light reach the roots, which is good because orchid roots can photosynthesize. It also lets you see the roots so you know when to water. Don't repot your orchid into a solid ceramic pot without drainage. Keep it in the clear pot and put that inside a decorative pot. Repot your orchid every 1 to 2 years, or when the bark starts to break down into smaller pieces. That's when it holds too much water and needs fresh bark. Let's talk about humidity and temperature. Phalaenopsis orchids are tropical plants. They love humidity. The ideal humidity is 50 to 70%. In most U.S. homes, especially in winter, humidity is much lower. The signs of low humidity are wrinkled leaves and flower buds that dry up and fall off before opening. To increase humidity, you have options. Use a humidifier near the plant. Group your orchids with other plants, or set the pot on a pebble tray filled with water. Just make sure the pot isn't sitting directly in the water. Do not mist the leaves or flowers. Misting can lead to crown rot and fungal spots. As for temperature, Phalaenopsis orchids like it warm during the day, 70 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. At night, they like a temperature drop to about 60 to 65 degrees. That temperature drop actually triggers blooming, so don't worry if your house gets cooler at night. That's good for the orchid. Keep your orchid away from cold drafts, air conditioning vents, and heat vents. Sudden temperature changes can cause flower buds to drop. Now let's talk about fertilizer. To get your orchid to rebloom, you need to feed it. During spring and summer, when the orchid is actively growing, fertilize weekly. That means use a balanced orchid fertilizer like 20-20-20, diluted to quarter strength, every time you water. Or use a full-strength dose every 2 weeks. Look for a fertilizer specifically labeled for orchids. Many orchid growers use a high-nitrogen fertilizer during the growing season, like 30-10-10, to promote leaf and root growth. Then switch to a high-phosphorus fertilizer, like 10-30-20, in fall to encourage blooming. For beginners, a balanced orchid fertilizer used at half-strength every other week is perfectly fine. In fall and winter, reduce fertilizing to once a month or stop completely if the orchid is resting. Always fertilize on wet roots. Never apply fertilizer to dry roots. It can burn them. So water first, then fertilize. Now let's talk about what happens after the flowers fall off. This is where most people give up. The flowers last for weeks, sometimes months. Then one by one they drop. Now you have a green plant with no flowers. What do? Do not throw it away. Your orchid is not dead. It's just finished blooming. You have 2 options for the flower spike. The flower spike is the long stem that held the flowers. If the spike is green and healthy, you can cut it just above the second node. That's the little bump on the stem. Often, the orchid will grow a new branch from that node and bloom again in a couple months. If the spike turns brown and dries out completely, cut it off at the base. Use clean, sharp scissors or pruning shears. Then continue caring for your orchid normally. With good light and proper watering, it should send up a brand new flower spike in a few months. Be patient. Orchids are slow. It can take 3 to 6 months for a new spike to grow and bloom. Now let's talk about root health. Orchid roots are fascinating. Healthy roots are firm, plump, and green or silvery white. They may have a darker green tip where they're actively growing. Unhealthy roots are brown, black, mushy, or flat and shriveled. When you water, pay attention to the roots. If you see lots of rotten roots when you repot, cut them off with clean scissors. Healthy roots only. If your orchid has very few roots left, you can put it in a small pot with fresh bark and water carefully until it grows new roots. Now let's talk about common problems. Let's go through them one by one. Problem 1, yellow leaves. If the lower leaf turns yellow and falls off slowly, that's normal aging. Orchids lose old leaves. If many leaves turn yellow at once, you're overwatering or the roots are rotting. Check the roots immediately. Problem 2, wrinkled, floppy leaves. This is dehydration. Either you're not watering enough or the roots are damaged and can't take up water. If the roots are healthy, water more frequently. If the roots are rotten, repot and remove the bad roots. Problem 3, flower buds turn yellow and drop before opening. This is called bud blast. It's usually caused by sudden temperature changes, low humidity, or drafty air. Keep your orchid away from vents and open windows. Increase humidity. Problem 4. No reblooming. This is almost always a light issue. Your orchid needs bright, indirect light to bloom. Move it to an east window or add a grow light. It could also need a temperature drop at night. Problem 5. Black spots on leaves. This is usually a fungal or bacterial infection, often from water sitting on the leaves. Remove the affected leaves, improve air circulation, and keep the leaves dry. Problem 6. Pests. Orchids can get mealybugs, scale, spider mites, and aphids. Mealybugs look like white cotton in the leaf joints. Scale looks like small brown bumps. Wipe with rubbing alcohol on a cotton swab. Use neem oil or insecticidal soap. Isolate the plant. Problem 7. Crown rot. This is when the center of the orchid, where new leaves grow from, turns black and mushy. It's caused by water sitting in the crown. This is often fatal. Prevention is key. Never let water pool in the center of the plant. If you get water in the crown, use a paper towel to wick it out. Let me give you a few quick answers to common questions. How long do orchids live? With good care, Phalaenopsis orchids can live for 10 to 20 years. Should I trim air roots? No. Those roots are normal. They absorb moisture and humidity from the air. Leave them alone. Can I put my orchid outside in summer? Yes, in full shade. Morning sun only. Bring it back inside before temperatures drop below 60 degrees at night. My orchid has roots growing out of the pot. Does it need repotting? Not necessarily. Orchids like to be root-bound. Only repot when the bark is breaking down. Can I use tap water? Yes, but if your tap water has a lot of chlorine or fluoride, use filtered water or let it sit out overnight. What's the easiest orchid for beginners? Phalaenopsis, hands down. That's why we're focusing on it. Let's wrap everything up. Phalaenopsis orchids are not as hard as people think. They just have different needs. Give them bright, indirect light, ideally an east window. Water when the roots turn silvery white, about once a week. Use orchid bark as potting medium, never soil. Use a clear pot with drainage holes. Provide humidity with a pebble tray or humidifier. Give them a temperature drop at night. Fertilize weekly during the growing season. After the flowers fall, cut the spike above a node or at the base. Be patient for reblooms. Watch for overwatering, crown rot, and wrinkled leaves. Here's the most important thing to remember. Orchids are slow. They teach patience. Don't expect blooms overnight. Just give your orchid consistent care, good light, proper watering, weekly fertilizer, and it will reward you with months of beautiful flowers, year after year. And don't throw away an orchid after the flowers drop. That's not the end. That's just the beginning of the next cycle. If you have an orchid at home, let me know in the comments. What color are the flowers? How many times has it bloomed for you? Post a picture, I'd love to see it. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. We put out new plant care videos every week. No plant shaming, just real tips for real plant parents. Thanks for watching. Take care of your plants and they'll take care of you. See you in the next video.